All right. Welcome to the DFL Before DNF podcast. My name is Josh Rosenthal of Borderlands Trail Running. This has been my pursuit. This podcast is sort of an outflowing of a documentary series I've been working on called Trail Grit. We just released episode 3. In episode 3, my plan was just to interview a few people and to gain some wisdom. And I found it to be so helpful for myself, first and foremost. And a lot of people had reached out that they had liked it. So I just started reaching out to a bunch of people to keep the podcast alive, even after the episode of Trail Grit 3 went live yesterday. And my hope and intention is to just continue to get more wisdom from people who have done hard things, who've attempted hard things, who've lived lives that are that just bring wisdom that I can pull into my attempt to hopefully finally get back to the 100-mile distance. I've finished 1 out of 8. That means I've DNF 7. Going for lucky number 9 at Zion next month. And so today I'm super excited to be talking with Alex Mueller, pro tennis player. And I believe you were at Bryce when I was at Bryce running the staircase race where they go from Bryce, Zion, Antelope Canyon. But I'm just really excited to talk to you today. I know you just had an attempt at the Rocky Raccoon 100. And so it's fun. I'm glad that you're here. So welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. Yeah, I was at Trail Fest and I didn't realize, I didn't know you at the time. Right. Yeah. That was amazing. I love that area of the country. So cool.
And so you, at the time of that, were you living in Jersey?
Yes.
So you made a special trip to Southern Utah for that race.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, how did you hear about it?
Just via Instagram. Like I follow like all the trail running, everything. Like I'm, you know, like I think about it all the time. Like I love it so much. So, I have a notebook that I carry around, and if there's like a race I find, I just like write it in. And yeah.
Wow.
So that was kind of like something that I wanted to do for a couple years, and I saw that they had one a couple months prior that ended up getting canceled, you know?
Okay.
I think it was, it wasn't Redwoods yet, but it was something. And then when Kanab got put up, I'm like, all right, I'm entering now. I'm not missing this.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like what I love about the Trail Fest specifically is you get all of that just incredible Southern Utah. Like my favorite running of all time is that Southern Utah. So you get Zion, you get Bryce. I've never ran Antelope Canyon, but I know it's up there with those. So that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, my favorite day was
that's what
Zion.
I was gonna ask,
What's that?
That's what I was going to ask. Which one was your favorite?
Oh my God, Zion. It was so amazing.
Really?
Like it was more like runnable than Bryce. Like Bryce really like kicked my ass because it was like the first day, and like Jersey is like flat as a pancake. Like it is not, I'm not getting any altitude training here, like anything. Yeah. So that was, I'm like, bam, like you are in this, like you are doing Trail Fest. So I was like, all right, like I'm buckled in. So
that's awesome.
Zion
Bryce is so hard as a 100-miler. It's crazy hard. It's like 18,000 feet of gain, I think. But the section that he had us run is the most beautiful by far, because you get to go to like run on Mars there for a little bit.
Yeah.
You get some of that gain, you get some of the like the alpine sort of vibes. And then I came that morning. I left Salt Lake City at 2 a.m. so I could be at the starting line and I only ran Bryce. Salem, who's the race director there, the founder, is a friend of mine. So I went to do that and to have lunch with him, and then I came back. So I didn't get to do the other days.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce was so beautiful. Like I was, my jaw was on the floor the whole time. It was unbelievable.
Wild. At Antelope Canyon, did you go to the Horseshoe Bend? Did you?
We did. Like that was the first thing when they, dropped us off. Like we went right down the little stairs, like right at the Horseshoe Bend. Everyone was just taking all the pictures, and it was incredible. Great. Yeah, and people were like sneaking out onto the little ledge. I was like, oh my, like, no, not worth it.
Yeah,
I couldn't even look, but I mean, it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, let's back up a little bit. So where did you grow up? You grew up in Philadelphia?
So I grew up in Philly, suburbs of Philly, just kind of like 20 minutes north of the city, called Abington.
Okay.
And I kind of grew up playing different sports, as a kid. My mom was a big swimmer. Like that was her career. My dad played, my dad played a little bit of basketball, a little bit of tennis, but nothing too seriously, just like, in high school and stuff. Like, but both my parents are like, I'm 6'2". My dad is 6'3". My mom's 5'11". So like he was very, big into like basketball, volleyball, like
nice.
And obviously, as a kid, I'm trying gymnastics. Like that's not going to work for me. So, so I started getting like, as a young girl, like I was into swimming, like I was kind of following what my mom did. So I thought that was cool, but I thought it was even cooler to do something that was kind of all mine. So I found tennis and I'm like, not doing anything else, Mom, like pull me out of everything else. Like this is where it's at right now, like from now on. So
what did you love about it? What drew you into tennis specifically?
I think the individuality of it, like you're out there on the court and it's up to you to problem solve, stuff's going to go wrong. It's not going to be going your way one day. You're going to be losing. It is completely up to you to fix it and to figure it out. There's no coaching going on like at halftime or whatever. So
is that allowed even?
In some events it is now. There's a ongoing debate about like what side of the fence you're on with that. I think that tennis should be and like no coaching allowed. Like I think it should be true to its roots there. But people like to see it for, TV reasons. It's good for the fans to kind of get like an inside look at, what the coaches are telling the players. Like they think that's pretty cool. So I can understand that too.
Who were your tennis heroes when you were coming up, growing up?
So I was in the era of Anna Kournikova. She was my, I know all the guys loved her, but like I loved her. Like I thought she was the coolest. Like I wore my hair in a long braid like she did. Like I wanted to wear Adidas. Like, oh my God. And I have pictures of her on my wall.
I mean, just a quick snapshot. That's the power of athlete sponsorship right there. She had on Adidas. You want to buy Adidas. That's why they invested in her.
100%. Awesome. And I'm like, what racket is she using? I need to have that, like obviously.
Oh man, that's great. So you were, when did you become like super competitive in tennis? High school?
No, earlier than that. I kind of started, I picked it up pretty quickly. I was a pretty quick learner with it. So, I guess coaches and like my parents were kind of like, hey, she kind of, has a talent for this. Like, let's, put her in some tournaments and like see how that goes. And if she likes it, and obviously they never pressured me to do anything like that. But, probably 10 years old, I was already playing national tournaments.
Oh, wow.
In my age group. And then it kind of accelerated quickly. And I was 14. I was playing, I played junior US Open. When I was 15, I ended up turning pro.
What's the definition of turning pro? Essentially, you're competing in professional tournaments, or is that a money thing? Like you're making cash?
Well, it's kind of a weird thing because you can not officially turn professional, but you can still play in professional tournaments, but you just can't receive the prize money. Okay. So you are maintaining your NCAA eligibility if you decide to stay an amateur.
Okay.
And I know it sounds like a big fancy thing, like to turn pro, right? Like, right. It's could not be further from the truth. So this is actually a funny story. I knew all along that that's what I wanted to do with my life. So every time you go to a pro tournament, there's a little form you fill out when you get there, kind of like a check-in form, and you have to just check a box next to professional or next to amateur, and that's it. But once you check professional, there's no going back, right?
And meaning you're not playing in college. Once you check that box, you can't play in college.
There you go. You're just forfeiting your eligibility right there. Wow. So
simple, such an easy mistake.
Weird,
it could be an impulsive. Yeah. So I got to a tournament and I was like, I think I was 15. I was like, screw it, like professional. Didn't tell my parents at all. Did not talk to them about it.
And I called them and I was like, hey, guess what? Like, I just turned pro. Like, dead silence.
Oh,
like,
gosh.
They're like, you did what? I think they were not very pleased with me for a while without, I basically forfeited a full ride scholarship.
College scholarship.
Anywhere.
That's what as a father, though my oldest is 10, I just think, I'm saving for college for him. And there was my ticket.
Yeah. So I think in the back of their mind, like they knew that that's what I wanted to do. And maybe I would have ultimately, we would have made that decision together. But,
there it is.
There it is.
All right. And so that was 15. And so now you're a professional. How's that playing itself out, in your everyday life? What's that like to be?
I played professionally for the better part of 20 years. I'm 36. I just turned 36 on Valentine's Day.
Oh, nice. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. And I probably played my last tournament about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So over the course of that time, I played in so many countries. I won 28 titles. I got to be ranked 130 in the world. Wow. And just made memories that, are invaluable, I wouldn't have traded it for the world. It was the best, I mean, it had its ups and downs. I was on the road 40 weeks a year, so forming any sort of relationships at home is not easy to do. But
what's it like being on the road? Are you on a bus? Is it all fly dates? What's that like?
It's mostly flying. I mean, the schedule is pretty much all over the place. Like you can country hop every week, Yeah. So you really rack up those miles. Got
it. Nice. Are you still like a platinum member to this day?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Which helps out with my newfound love of traveling for races.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you, where does ultra running come in? I feel like it's maybe rare to hear a professional athlete, though. One time I was running Zion and I ended up running next to a guy who used to play for the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, no way.
And he was running a 100-miler and we chatted for a while. A similar conversation. You were an elite performer in another sport. And then how do you end up moving to ultra running? What I like about ultra running specifically is, your peak age could be like 45. So right. I'm 41. So like, I'm still enjoying this sport quite a bit.
Yeah.
But what's the transition? Like, where does ultra running even make its way? And how do you have time to even think about it when you're a professional tennis player? Was it at the end of your career? Like, how did that happen? Well,
I always kind of incorporated running into my training for tennis. Like I would run a few times a week, but like mostly track work and stuff like that. So it was never really getting into the long distances. Toward the end of my career, I entered, my first 5K, like as it goes, you start and you kind of get the bug a little bit. And I entered my first 5K and I won overall female. And I was like, oh,
I can do this.
So like, I've been a competitive athlete my whole life. So it's like part of my identity to want to compete, but like, we also all have the desire to be successful with what we're doing. So like right away, I'm like, damn, like that's pretty cool, So, and then you're like, all right, like there's a 10K, I can try that one. And, the main thing I wanted to do when this all started was do the Brooklyn half marathon. I know that sounds so random and bizarre,
it does.
But
if you live up in that area, it makes sense. And Brooklyn's
maybe,
super cool.
I guess, but I saw it on Instagram and I was like, how cool would that be to run a half marathon in Brooklyn? Whoa. Like, yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to do that. I'm just going to do that one time. And then I finally did it. And I was like, oh my God, people that do marathons are like out of their minds. I'm like, yeah, no way in this or any universe could I do a marathon. Like what? Yeah. Like, no way. I couldn't walk for like a week after the half. Like I didn't train really. I didn't know what I was doing yet. So, but then you sign up again later that night, you know how it is.
Right. Yeah. So you signed up, what did you sign up for next? Do you remember?
I think it was the Philly Marathon, maybe.
Okay.
And it was, I don't know exactly. I think it was, and it was far enough away that I was like, by that time I'll just be a machine, like I can do it.
Yeah. And the future version of yourself is always going to be amazing.
Oh yeah.
Whether or not it actually is.
Oh yeah, totally. But I think once I quit playing like officially on tour, I was just looking for something that not only physically challenged me, but also challenged me mentally, just emotionally. Like, I love to sign up for things that I don't know if I can complete. Like, I don't know what it'll be like, Like,
Yes.
I know I can like hop into a 5K or or a half marathon now, whatever. Like, I know I can do it. But when I signed up for my first 100, which was Rocky, I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, I don't know what that's going to be like at all. So I hired a coach right away. I'm like, I need help.
Who did you hire? Curiously.
Gags, Michael Gagliardi.
Okay, nice. I've not heard of him. How'd that go?
He's awesome. Like, he's like a really kind of famous around this area. Like, he just he does ultras, and I think he did Tahoe 200 one year. Like, he has his own podcast too. Like, he's a really cool dude, and like I can text him or call him with like any questions, and he's just been awesome. Kind of like paving the way for me to understand like how ultras work and stuff like that.
Yeah. But, knowing that you're so ambitious and so competitive, what is your ambition within trail running? Is it hobby for you, or do you feel like you want to lean in and see if you can be, a competitor at a high level?
Well, it started as a hobby, but now that I have more time to focus on it, like I would love to see how well I can do. I would love to just really, like you said, lean into it and see, where my potential is,
What's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what's cool about trail running that really grabbed me is when you're playing tennis on tour, you might play the best match you've ever played, but your opponent play a little better than you that day, and you still lose. And the bottom line is you lost the match. So you're going back to your hotel, you're packing up, you're booking a flight, and you're out of the tournament. And you're going to a new location, starting from round one again. And there's very little reflection on how well I actually did play, even though I lost. And I think what's cool about trail running and ultra running is the thing that's cool is the whole race. Like, obviously you want to get to the end. You don't want to have a DNF. It happens, but you want to finish. But the whole thing is the cool part, And I love that so much.
Yeah. And so then you taking that into Rocky, which was, for those listening who didn't see footage of Rocky, what an absolute mess that was.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. Did Andrew Glaze finish? I don't know who finished.
Oh, of course Andrew Glaze finished.
I'm actually interviewing him later today, but my buddy Matt Johnson, who I'd interviewed recently, he twisted his ankle, DNF'd at mile 80, but just the footage coming out, like 17 inches of water or something like that.
Yeah.
Just absurd.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was either like a full-on like water crossing situation, or it was like shoe sucking mud that would just be like, So it was hard to get a groove with your running. Like, you were constantly battling that, which is, it's part of it. It's cool to have all these crazy things thrown at you. At mile, in the second loop, so like almost at mile 40, I started getting like some pain in my foot. And then when I finished the second loop and I got back to camp, I took my shoe off and was trying to change socks and whatever. And I stood up and like, I almost fell down. Like, I had like, it was so black and blue. I think I strained it trying to like yank it out of the mud somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, I can't walk anymore. So it was just like a complete like physical issue that caused me to stop. Like, mentally I wanted to go. Like, I'm like, I can go. Like, I can do another one, like I did not want to stop. So that was the positive that I'm taking out of it. Like, mentally I was fresh to keep, like, I was going to finish,
And what mile did you say that happened?
40.
40. Okay.
And
that you pulled the plug there.
Oh yeah, I had to. Like I couldn't even walk to hand in my chip. Like I had to get someone else to do it. But like I heard that even seasoned Rocky Raccoon finishers didn't finish. Like there was like 55% DNF rate, which is pretty high for there.
Yes, for there especially. Man. How did you? Why Rocky Raccoon? How did that one come on your radar even?
I heard it was a good one to start with. You know, the elevation isn't crazy. You have the camp to go back to every 20 miles. You have your stuff. It's kind of like a comfort feeling, you know?
Yeah. And maybe being in Jersey, with you saying that it's flat, you can probably get some very legitimate training that's similar, if not close to the course itself.
Yeah, like I wasn't super intimidated by the elevation, so I felt like, okay, you know, if I can do the distance, I can do it, you know?
Yeah. And so where do you go from here in terms of your 100-mile ambition? Do you have another one on your radar?
Well, right now I remember hearing either maybe a post you did or one of your podcasts about like the Buffalo Run, the Antelope Island one, right?
Please do that one.
I was thinking of doing the 50 now.
Like in like 6 weeks?
Yes.
Oh, please do it. I have no financial gain there. I've never even met Jim Skaggs, who's the race director. I love that race.
Yeah.
And what's nice is from coming off of Rocky, which I've been signed up for, but I wasn't able to get there for it. But I know that course profile decently well. What's awesome is that I think Buffalo is a nice next step where it's not crazy elevation. I think you're still, I could get this wrong, between 6,000 and 7,000 total.
Okay.
Oh man. And you're running among the buffaloes. And what's hard is that if you're hallucinating overnight, the big rocks they become buffaloes. So you need a good companion with you out there to let you know what's buffalo, what's not buffalo. But I think that race, I'm going to be out there for it just because I'm so stoked and I've got some buddies running it. That's a good race. I hope you do that.
Yeah. I'm like, I look at it every day, like ultra sign up. And I was like that's like, you know, like the hobby at night, like peruse ultra sign up. And
and with the 50 miler, so the 100-mile course is two 50 milers. So you get to see the whole thing. I remember when it starts, he's pretty loose. You could start on the day with the 100 milers if you know, depending on how fast you think you'll go, or you start the next morning.
Okay.
So you may not at a 50 miler, which I've done that 50 miler, I think twice. Yeah. You won't have to worry about the hallucination overnight with buffalo.
Did you saw buffaloes out there and like you were like running?
God. Oh, they're everywhere. I mean, there's
hence the
living
name.
Close to it. Yeah. But living close to it, you hear stories rarely, but every once in a while, you know, they're a little aggressive, so you don't mess with them.
Oh,
they're
geez.
huge, and they are fast.
I mean, like, what is an ultra run without an element of just something bizarre like thrown in there? So
yeah, because it's flat and runnable, so let's throw in a wrench. Let's put some buffalo on the course.
100%.
I hope you do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like about to pull the trigger, so yeah,
okay.
I wouldn't,
do it. What? Okay, so then there's your 50. What's your next? Did Rocky make you rethink your 100-mile ambition, or did it just kick the can down the road?
It didn't make me rethink the 100. I was, you know, already like, I'm coming back next year. Like, I will do this, and then, you know, I'm looking at Eastern States 100 in this area here. I know the elevation is much more. But I'd have to work on my climbing with that first. But that's kind of the next 100 I have my eye on. Yeah. So I have some time.
Where is that actually at?
It's in PA, kind of close to Williamsport, which is where the Little League, the big Little League area. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be great. There's another race. There's a UTMB race that's out that way.
Yeah. Is that the, I want to say World's End one or no?
One that Mike McMonigal just won, the guy who goes by Shit in the Woods on Instagram. The best Instagram name there is. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna break a rule here. I'm gonna look it up on my phone because I think it's worth it. Grindstone.
Oh yeah.
You know Grindstone? I think
it's of course.
I know that Mike is from Pennsylvania as well, and I don't know if it's in Pennsylvania, but it was another like rain soaked thing that he ended up getting the win on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
there's
Eastern State sounds great.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I have a bunch on my list, and like I say, I carry my notebook around. So
yeah. Well, I want to talk a little bit where I get a little bit selfish. And what I like about the discussion with you is, even outside of ultra running, to have been a professional athlete, operating at the level that you operated at, you can search anywhere online, and not to downplay the great influencers, the great, teachers out there on physicality, on strength, on endurance from a body standpoint. What I think is interesting to hear from you is the mentality piece. Like, so when you talk about being at Rocky and at mile 40, it was your body that said no, but your mind was saying yes. I've never been in that situation. I've always been the opposite, where I think my body maybe could have kept going, but my mind just says no. And I've addressed that from a nutrition standpoint with my friend Jesse Rich on the podcast, where he says that your brain consumes 30% of the calories that you put into your body. Your brain consumes them. So if you're not eating regularly, your brain isn't getting what it needs. So it's just going to tell you to shut down.
Oh, wow. Okay.
To protect itself. So for you, how would you even characterize that moment at Rocky where your mind wanted to keep going, but your body couldn't?
It was strange because my brain, I was thinking totally clearly, I wasn't feeling like I just wanted to stop. I wanted to go. So in a way it was frustrating because, I wasn't at that complete depletion level of I am crawling on the ground. I cannot. So it was frustrating a little bit, but also I was like, well, these things are fixable, in my next one, this is something that I need, maybe it's the footwear I need to adjust. Maybe it is
you're already there in your mind. You're already tinkering with strategy.
Yeah. The shoes that I wear, I was like, I think they might be too narrow. They might be compressing my feet a little bit, and that's affecting my ankle. I'm trying to so I guess
figure it out.
What's that?
You're just figuring it out. You're solving it. It's a puzzle in some
ways. I
so
think mentally going into it, I was I talked about this with my coach beforehand, and we were saying, hey, the 30 hours or however long, the cut, the 30 hours are gonna go by. They're gonna go, no matter what. And,
right.
It's either gonna hurt now, in the race, you're gonna be struggling, you're gonna be tired, or it's gonna hurt later when you DNF and you're driving back to the hotel and you're
thinking about it.
Your 100 miler has an asterisk next to it, and you're just damn it, and I would have crawled to that finish line, but I could not even stand on my feet. So I was so pissed I could not finish. But
do you feel like that mentality is something that is innate? Have you just always been strong-willed that you will finish what you're going to start, or did you develop it?
I think tennis played a huge role in that. I think when you're at a tournament, you can't show any sort of weakness. Not even if you're nursing an injury, say, so-and-so will see you walking around Alex has some tape on her knee, better pay attention. She might not be.
Did you ever put tape on your knee when it wasn't hurting?
I thought about head? I thought about that too late. I was that would have been funny.
Yeah.
Or if you're in a match and you feel you don't feel your best or you're losing, you can't show to your opponent, I'm getting down on myself. I'm this close to just completely throwing in the towel. Right. Cause what if they are, what if they're really feeling it? And then the fact that I'm getting this, that gives them hope now. They're oh, hey, maybe if I just stick around, I could actually get this win.
Oh my gosh.
So it's I think I grew up kind of putting on this steely face of I'm going to get through this and I'm not going to show it, and I'm going to get to the end of it, so
sorry, I lost you.
I feel that played a big role.
A steely face. I apologize.
Yeah,
I'll
kind of
part out where I say it cut
no,
out. Yeah,
I just saw it freeze a little bit. Yeah. I just put on like a steely face, like, you know, we're going to get to the end of this. I'm not going to show you how I'm feeling. Like, I'm going to, you know, just plow through to the end, you know, and that's where we'll end up. The time is going to go by anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, the sum total of my experience with tennis was, you know, my dad loved to watch Wimbledon growing up. So that was a summer thing that we would do together. And, you know, I've always consumed it from, you know, not like, you know, maybe when I watch soccer, like I played it so I can kind of think strategic. I don't know the strategic thinking with tennis, but what you're already telling me feels so markedly different than what I knew or what I see in other sports, is that you're not playing checkers, you're playing chess. Like there's things that in the moment you can get inside their head, and you can do that in any sport, I'm sure, but it's a thinking person's sport as well as a physical sport, which is ultra running. There's so much thinking. Like that's where I see that's an interesting connection from my vantage point, to see you're used to thinking intensely in a moment of incredible physical activity.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
that's
you
impressive.
Definitely have to keep you have to keep thinking and keep your mentality sharp, regardless of the conditions of, you know, when you're playing a tennis match too. Like it could be over 100 degrees. Like I was playing in El Paso in July, and like it was like a 4.5 hour match, and I was, you know, feeling the heat. You know, it was like pretty warm out there. And you know, you still have to like think the same as you would, you know, in 70-degree weather. Like it's, you know,
interesting
in all types of weather, all conditions, everything, you know, you have to still be as mentally sharp as another time. So maybe that's where it came from, you know, like maybe that's helping me in the sport of ultra running too.
What about nutrition in the, you know, in tennis? Do you have like a nutritionist who's advising you, or like, you know, I'm thinking comparing this to running an ultra in 100 degrees compared to, you know, playing tennis in 100 degrees and a little humid. Had you been taught how to think in those situations? Because I hadn't. And so I had to have a DNF to learn how to drink water better.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I definitely think my background helped me. When I would go to a tournament in the summer and like extreme heat, I'd be like, okay, I need to have my Pedialyte. I need my coconut water. I need my liquid IV, like my pickle juice, like everything that I know worked for me. And then
you're talking about tennis, or you're talking about ultra?
I'm talking about tennis. I'm talking about tennis.
That's crazy.
And it's similar. Now looking on the ultra side of it,
it's crazy.
So I did have a solid background, kind of like, okay, hey, if I treat this like I'm preparing for a tennis match, this kind of, you know, helps me out a little bit.
I like that. I mean, and then not to mention early on, I almost said something, but I didn't want to derail. You were saying one of the things you like about tennis is like the individuality of the sport, and that like if you don't show up that day, you know, there's no one that's gonna play tennis for you and give you give Alex Mueller the result of the day, which is ultra running as well. Yeah,
I think that's it's really cool. I mean, the ultra running part of it, you're out there by yourself. But another thing I love about ultra running is that I genuinely feel like the people that you're out there with, they want to see you succeed. Like they want to see you finish, and they're there to help you if you're not feeling well or you're cramping. Like they're there to like, here, take some of my salt tabs, you know?
Yes.
And that was not the case in tennis. Like it is very cutthroat. Like you're fighting it's your job. Like you're going to get paid if you win and you're not if you lose. So you can.
Do you like one over the other? I mean, on some levels, even though I've never been super competitive at anything, I do like the cutthroat. One of the things I wish there was more of in trail running at the elite level was shit talking. There's not. I was talking with Anthony Costales, who got third at Western States and third at Ultra Trail Cape Town. And he was like, yeah, me and Tyler Green, who were fighting for podium space at Western, like we were, I don't know, struggling's the right word for them, but they were not in a great space, and they were like encouraging each other. And I'm like, but you guys are competitive.
Right.
Like when I perceive sports, like you're not trying to psych each other out.
Yeah.
You're like trying to help each other get there.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference of one over the other, or do you like them both? Or
I like them both. I do still I like to get very competitive, but I feel like at this point I've had enough of that. And in my past,
that makes sense.
You know, my whole life of like just battling it like crazy, and you know, people say, "Oh, we love to see our, you know, peers succeed." Like, no, you don't. Like, be honest. Like in tennis, you don't. Like, you want to be the one succeeding. But in trail running, I think that's in trail running, that's the cool part to me right now. It's like I love that support and the camaraderie, and I look forward to that part too. I'm like, I can't wait to meet new people this weekend. You know,
yes,
and maybe I'll see them out on the trail, and I can talk to them. Like I love talking to new people, so I like that part.
So I'm introverted, but if you met me, you know, mid to late race at an ultra, you would think I'm extroverted because, I mean, those people, by the time everyone's spread out and I'm with my speed, which is people who are there only because they love it. We're not competing for a podium. I am so chatty because like, it's just like, that's the best way to find someone who's so much like me. And it's a fun conversation to have. So on that level, I completely resonate. I've met people that, you know, maybe I didn't get their contact information, but just some of my favorite conversations, more insightful conversations. I absolutely love that.
Me too. I love that so much.
Well, so as we kind of land the plane a little, as you think about Eastern states compared to Rocky, with your elite tennis background, and maybe even what is your coach telling you? Like what advice do you have for yourself going into the next 100? So you troubleshooted, you had some gear discussions in your brain, other things. I mean, how do you endure? How do you get across the 100-mile finish line next time? What are you telling yourself right now?
Yeah, like we said, I you know, maybe some gear adjustments, like some footwear adjustments, but you know, I've already kind of have stuff in mind I want to try leading up to that, like different models of shoe and whatnot. I think that I would have a better crew with me and have more people. You know, I have.
Did you have a pacer ready at Rocky?
No. So I feel like, you know, maybe considering that option too. I would have my campsite kind of like more organized. Like, cause once I got into camp, I'm like, okay, where's this? Where's that? You know what I mean? And you're wasting time and you're like, ugh.
Yes.
So I'd have it more kind of laid out, kind of a plan whenever I come, you know, to an aid station, like, okay, this is what I need. This is what I need. This is what I need. And have, you know, my crew member, whoever it may be, or members, kind of on the same like wavelength as me with that, you know, just kind of trying to lock that stuff in. You know, Rocky was a learning experience, like as a first timer. Like I still thought I could complete it for sure, but I definitely learned a lot seeing other people's campsites and what was going on. Like there were fully people with grills. Like what? Like
that's an interesting, probably a cultural piece of Rocky, because like you say, those 20-mile loops, there's probably like those people who do Rocky all the time. I bet there's rituals that they have.
Oh yeah, like some dudes had like the massage table out there, and like they would just lay on it. I'm like, you know, that's where it's at. Like you bring your massage therapist with you or something.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's brilliant. Well, that's cool. What shoes are you running in right now?
Oh, I'm running in Speed Goats now, but I'm kind of venturing into the Topo Ultra realm.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
I don't have any experience with Topo. What makes them unique? What's drawing you to them?
Well, I think that I've done a few 50Ks and even at the end of those, my feet are just like really hurting me. Like not blister wise at all. Thanks to the wonderful Injinji socks that they.
Yes, I've had some great experiences with Injinji.
Oh my gosh, they're the best.
From blisters.
But like I don't know, I feel like they're kind of, my toes are getting jammed. I'm losing some toenails. But that's par for the course. But
did you lose toenails in tennis? Was that a thing?
No, not a thing at all.
Really?
No, this is new for me.
Okay.
But ultras have the wide toe box and the zero drop, but the topos have the same wide toe box, but like maybe 4 millimeters. So I think I'll start with the topos and see, you know, how that feels.
Yeah.
Because your feet swell, you know, well during a long run, so they need some space to.
Some room.
Yeah.
I feel like the trade-off with the big shoe approach, or the larger than your normal shoe size approach, is your toenails are protected, but I feel like I get a little bit more blisters in other places from maybe the movement in the shoe.
That makes sense to me.
At this point, going into Zion for me, though, is that I'm in this really fortunate position where I'm about to lose my 2 big toenails before the race.
Oh, no.
Which that's better.
Wait, that is better, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. For me, I mean, I legit, like at my most intense season of trail running where I was doing the most races and the most training, I had 1 toenail.
Oh, no. Whoa.
On both feet combined. I lose them real easy. At this point, it's real easy. So when I did the Dead Horse 50 miler, another race I highly recommend, back in November, it ruined my 2 big toenails. So those are off. I've already lost another one. So I'm going into this with less toenails, and I think that's going to be an advantage.
I think that
we'll see.
That's a tremendous advantage. Yeah, yes. That's like a whole new area of like feet picks is like the note. That's a special area.
Yeah, have you read Born to Run?
No, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, classic book, but there's a guy in it, I think it's from that book, where he surgically removes his toenails. I've heard about this.
Yeah. And at first I thought it was insane and like, what is wrong with this dude? But now I'm like, I understand. I get it.
These are just, what it makes you want. What's the point of these things?
I don't know. Nothing.
All they do is cause pain and blisters. All right. Hey, I hope that you come run Buffalo. If you do, let me know.
Will do.
I'll be out there as much as possible.
Awesome.
Just because I love that race so much. Alex Mueller, thanks so much for taking the time. I look forward to talking again. Maybe see you in a few weeks, but if not, keep us posted on what you do at Eastern States.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, of course. Take care.